And we are back to 35 Better on Draft podcast. Let's kind of go around the table once again. I am still drinking from the Coca-Cola plant.
What kind of liquor you got in there, Ken?
Cherry Coca-Cola, zero sugar. No liquor in here still. I am sticking on my regimen for high-intensity painkiller. No, I'm not taking anything crazy. Advil and Tylenol.
Oh, boy.
I know. It's the Flexerol that worries me. Nick, what are you drinking over there?
Well, it's not who's that lady, but who's that woman.
Who's that woman?
From Witch's Hat Brewing.
Which we do have a review up on our website, betterondraft.com. Wendy, what are you drinking over there?
I have moved on to a New Glarus Moon Man.
New Glarus Moon Man, still sticking with the New Glarus Robert.
Ale.
What are you pouring in there? You're muted.
Put the bottle down.
Hey, there I am. How you doing?
It's the national slogan for 2020. You're on mute.
Better on Draft podcast.
I can't hear you.
So, Rob, what'd you pour?
So I finished.
What's that, Rob? We can't hear you.
Ignore them. Just go.
Cow. I am pouring two things right now because this bottle was definitely sitting in the cellar for maybe too long. So I said, all right, I'm going to open it. It's the Maine Beer Co.'s Lunch. And I am slightly double-fisting with a little bit of the good stuff that's here. Most people know what this bottle is. This is some Blanton's. So we're hitting a bit of that.
Well, Rob's going to have a fun night tonight. Dan, what about you? How can you top that?
No, I can't. Number one, I'm drinking a Creekside Coffee Brown. Can't touch what Rob's doing.
I probably could. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Oh, jeez.
No.
I'll be right back. I'm going to put you all on mute. I'll be back.
All right. Well, as always with segment 2.
Here is Robert with the Beer News.
Robert with the Beer News.
All right. Me with the news. Probably going to go a little bit off script for what we generally have as we normally have, obviously, the document that we all share, but there's a couple news articles that kind of stuck out to me earlier today that I was getting a chance to kind of take a look at. So trying to keep things, I guess, a bit more lighthearted in terms of the news. And one of the things that we ran into this week was that the world's strongest beer, which being a collaboration between two rival breweries, decided to come up with a beer that is clocking in at a rather alarming 57.8% ABV. So this was made in collaboration.
Hi.
Brew Dog and Schorschbrau. Hopefully I got that right. I just read it and I just took a shot at it and hopefully I got it right. But these two rival breweries decided that they were going to make this particular beer. Obviously, Brew Dog has been known to make some very heavy ABV beers. I'm trying to remember because I thought there was one that was called Snake Venom, which I thought that clocked in at something like 67%. So I was a little kind of taken aback with the whole world's strongest beer when I, like, for memory's sake, I don't think this was actually the strongest beer I think I've seen, but this is what they are calling it. So this thing was actually on sale, I think starting yesterday. I actually went on the site just to mess around to see. I was like, all right, let's see if I could actually order this thing and have it shipped to the U.S., which no, you can't. Even though on the site that it gives you the ability to choose the United States, it just completely strips away the shipping option. So that pretty much told me, all right, I'm not going to be able to get this beer. However, I guess that it sold out pretty damn quick. And really for anybody that got their hands on it, great. But if you guys got your hands on a 57.8% beer, which actually is an Eisenbach. I'll throw that in there too. But if you got your hands on a 57.8% beer, would you really try to drink that or share that or just kind of have it on the shelves just kind of say, hey, I got this strong ass beer?
I would just sit there and stare at it.
I mean, I'd have a shot of it. I mean, we're in liquor range.
Shot of
now.
beer.
What do you? But at 57%, I mean,
It's
what do
liquor.
you actually do
Shot.
with this? Yeah,
liquor.
what are you? You're not sitting down and drinking a glass of this. I mean,
Well,
what do you-
here's another thing is that I would think for something that is going to be that strong, that it's going to be relatively expensive. I mean, we've seen Sam Adams Utopias. That sucker
Right.
for $250, $300 for that container. This thing was selling for about $38.
Oh, that's asking
it?
for trouble. That's how much you buy a fifth of vodka for. Like, what the hell?
$38 for how big?
From looking at the bottle, it doesn't have the I guess the size. But looking at the bottle, I'd probably say that might be a 750 milliliter. Might be a little smaller.
There's no way you can drink that on your own, unless you're some hardcore alcoholic. You're gonna hate yourself for a day or two after that if you do.
I mean, if you live, yeah, you will hate yourself
A little bit.
But that is.
I'm looking up. So
horrible.
the bottle size is 40 milliliters.
That's not 750.
No.
I guess it's like looking at a box of cornflakes. It's just like
It's a shot. It's literally a shot of booze for 30 some odd dollars.
Oh, hell no. Y'all can keep that. Someone else will buy it.
I mean, it did sell out, so somebody did buy it.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, there comes a point in time where, it's, to be honest, it's gimmicky. That's all it seems it is. It's just gimmicky. Like,
Yes.
I see what they did. It's great. Obviously, they're not going to do it again, so it's going to be a rare collectible. And, that new money beer chaser is going to want to get it, to have it, to say he has it. And that's pretty much it. It's as gimmicky as the giant. I'm trying to think of the name of that brewery that has those giant ass bottles, and I'm talking like the gimmick fake champagne bottle, like giant size. What's that?
Heineken?
Like the big buck inflatable. You're talking about like this, like the.
Are we talking bigger than a Magnum?
Yeah.
No, it's the big thing that's like the size of a desk, basically.
Didn't Bell's do that once with Black Note? That was like the huge ass bottle like that.
What's funny is that I always walk in when I walk into Zatuna Liquor over in Rochester Hills, just south of M59 on Rochester Road. He's got one of them, but I still I can picture the bottle in my head, but I still can't do it. If anyone can remind me of it, it's basically, I want to say it's easily a 5-liter bottle. Or like a glass bottle that's like 5 liters. It's big. It's a cork top, or like a Grolsch pop top kind of thing. But I just can't think of the name of it, and it's going to annoy me probably for the next however long until I message Jack to tell me what it is.
Side note about Zatuna, I did see a post from them that they are now stocking Toppling Goliath. So another reason to go.
I did see that. Toppling Goliath is going to be on the list of breweries upcoming for interviews here shortly, which I know a lot of us are excited for, especially now that Pseudo Sue and a few other of the beers have gotten here. But yeah, the 57.8% ABV beer, and that snake venom was higher from what I was looking at too, which was 67.5%. But in the end, I wouldn't even bother. I feel like it just wouldn't taste good.
Right. And I mean, it kind of goes back to what he said about being gimmicky. I mean, Brew Dog has been kind of known to do things that are gimmicky, with having, their hotel that you can take baths and beer, and the founders changing their names to Elvis, and dropping stuffed cats from the sky, like frickin' WKRP in Cincinnati's Turkey Drop. Just doing crazy shit. So, I mean, it's kind of, I feel like for Brewdog, it's kind of a Brewdog thing. They want to do gimmicky things, and here they have a gimmicky beer that, you know, some people might be in search of, despite the fact that it's 40 milliliters. And I mean, hell, we have vaccines that are more than fucking 40 milliliters.
I'm not gonna lie. Even though I do also think it's gimmicky, and I don't understand why you would want to make a beer that is that high in ABV. If it fell into my lap, I would definitely try it just to see, does it really taste as bad as I think it would? But I mean, we like liquor that's similar to that, right?
Yeah, but look at, you know, this is almost as if it's the way it is not necessarily sold but packaged. It's almost like a distilled beer. And we've had distilled beer on the show. Like we had Tenacity on, who had distilled beer. I brought 12 Bolt, I believe, onto the show, which was a distilled beer from Axel. It's, you know, that's where it is in the size. And I maybe if you would give me a fifth at that cost, I might think about it. But at this point, it just seems gimmicky and pricey to where I just don't even want to bother, because I'm not going to drink it. I'm going to stare at it. And I'm not going to share it because it's only 1.5, not even 1.5 ounces. So, but I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
For those who drink mead, I mean, that basically would be the cost of a couple ounces from almost anything from Schramm's. So,
yep.
Cost of a sample from Schramm's. So.
Right. And Schramm's good stuff, which actually, side note with them, I'm not sure that anybody had saw the news with Schramm's mead, is that they are shutting down their tasting room permanently, at least from what they had said on Facebook, that they are shutting it down permanently, obviously because of everything that has been happening all around us with the coronavirus, and the fact that they are not able to have the tasting room open and still allow for social distancing. I mean, when you look at it, when you walk into, for those who have not been to Schramm's and been to their tasting room, walking into their tasting room is basically like walking into someone's huge master bedroom, but you still only have about roughly 80 square feet of walking space. There's not a lot of room in there, and it's just not feasible. So they are shutting down the tasting room, but obviously production is still going on. They're still making bottles. You're still, for those who are in Michigan, you can still go and pick up your bottles. They're still there. They're not going anywhere. It's just that, unfortunately, the tasting room is going to have to shut down. So
yeah, they shut down the tasting room, but they picked up Arizona for distribution. So that's kind of a bigger win than an 80 square foot room.
Right. So that definitely it takes away from a few events that a couple of guys, I will say, for the culture, that were planning on going there next year. But you know, we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out. But another news thing that I want to bring up, which I'm curious of your guys' take on this one, is that some news from the Kristen Bell household, which apparently she had walked in on her daughters drinking non-alcoholic beer during Zoom class. Basically, her daughters, Lincoln, who was 7, Delta, who was 5, apparently they were, at least one of them was attending school over Zoom and found that they were sipping O'Doul's, which for those who know the history between Kristen Bell and, of course, Dax Shepard, and Dax Shepard and his podcast, Armchair Expert, that he openly talks about his issues with alcoholism and how he has been clean from drinking for well over a decade. But clearly they still keep O'Doul's in the house, because now apparently these kids are drinking O'Doul's. So I guess I kind of wonder with you guys is that, you know, you've got these children who are drinking non-alcoholic beer. Yeah, it's non-alcoholic, but is that something you would allow your kids to do? And I guess if or if not, is that something that you feel that would kind of set them up for, I guess, an impending adult alcoholism that may kick in at some point in the future?
So remind me, because I can't remember off the top of my head, maybe you guys know, was it Heineken that had the commercial with a guy drinking a beer in the car while he was pulled over with a cop for the Heineken NA, or was that a different one? I can't remember off the top.
I don't remember that one.
It's recent, like this year too. I remember seeing it, but the point being, if you're going to advertise you can drink these beers and drive a car, I mean, I don't know too many kids that like the taste of beer. It's kind of your taste buds kind of have to mature a little bit before you're drinking. Something like, duels.
You are correct. It was 2 years ago when this came out. It's a Heineken 0.0.
So if we're going to advertise that, I mean, is it really that bad of a thing?
There's the stigma that's behind it, though, right? Because even though it's non-alcoholic, it's still beer. And if it's kids drinking beer, regardless of it being non-alcoholic, the stigma still follows with, I would think, the general public that they're still drinking beer one way or another.
Not just drinking beer, doing it during school.
Come on now.
I mean, let's be honest. Every one of us have had done something during school that we shouldn't have.
Yeah, Ken. So I was to say, we can't really judge kids drinking non-alcoholic or any beer because they all do it. Every generation does it.
So
I don't know if I do it.
I think this is a little bit different just because of the age 5 and 7, as opposed to, I was getting wine cooler type drinks from my dad when I was 12, 13. I was sneaking 7 and 7s when I was like 9 and 10. But my parents weren't like at that age. My parents were giving it to me, but my dad giving me one Mike's Hard Lemonade wasn't going to destroy me. I think Dan's kind of right in regards to. God damn it!
In regards to
show and a half later, I said it.
That was you went a while.
I didn't say anything for the first half of the show. With that in mind, like I can't focus anymore. No, like I just don't see that it's too much of an issue because it's non-alcoholic beer. Obviously, with the redemption story that is Dak Shepard being 15 years clean, he might partake in non-alcoholic beer, which he finds, and I think that's what we're seeing a lot of in the this country. Like, we're slowly behind England, but a lot of people are wanting these non-alcoholic beers because I think it's just an overcorrection of all the high ABV beers. They want to drink, they want to drive, and they don't want to drink and drive. So I think, if you're teaching them correctly, I feel like it's the exact same way as if you should teach your kids what Coca-Cola does to you, like what sugar, what caffeine does to you. I think it's a great learning experience to where you're not going to get the alcohol, but understand that, if you drink the regular beers, like, things are going to be a lot different. You shouldn't do that. So, and that's in comparison to like drinking Coke versus drinking water, milk, or tea or something like that, like the differences. So I personally don't think if they liked it and they liked Heineken 0.0, it's not beer. Like, there's non-alcoholic. So yeah, go for it. But if, I don't know, I think it's a great learning tool. So.
And I guess that kind of leads into another question I thought of, which I know this gets a little political but it gets a little political in terms of beer, is that it goes into the drinking age. Should we be in a position where the drinking age, like other countries, should be lowered? Now, granted, of course, that question kind of goes with the stipulation that there needs to be obviously some sort of education of some sort in terms of alcohol and its effects and your tolerance and things of that nature. But is there a point where you think, we'll say in the next 20 years, that we could get to a point where the drinking age could be dropped down? I mean, hell, if kids at 18 can fight for a country, that's always been one of the arguments, is that if you can fight for a country at 18, you should be able to drink a beer. Should we at least get to that point, or should we actually get to something like Germany, where, Germany is what, 14? Can we
Really?
get?
We shouldn't. No, most of Europe is stupid like that. Like Iceland was 20. Holland's 18 or 19. A lot of places are like that. No, we shouldn't. We don't need. This is one of the few things the U.S. does right. Still, it's keeping the drinking age where it is. We don't need to up the number of drunk drivers. We tried this before. We had kids going to school drunk in high school. We don't need to add the stupidity of the 18 to 20-year-olds because we were all there. We all know how dumb we were. I don't even think you're mature enough at 21.
Ain't that true?
But we don't need to add alcohol legally to that age range on top of everything else.
I've always been under the impression personally that if you have a military ID, you can drink, smoke, do whatever the fuck you want. That's a personal belief. I believe like the drinking age at 21 is fine. I believe the smoking age at 21 is fine. But I agree that if you want to enlist in the military, that's after, high school, 18 years old, you're perfectly fine. And if you want to enlist in the military so you can drink at 18, okay. But I think that you have the right to do it, and if you decide to do it, then you get these added benefits of being, because even people who are 18, 19, 20, they're being shipped off to countries where they can drink at that age, and two, they're definitely drinking on bases, and they really don't card people on the base themselves, or if you walk in with a military uniform, most bartenders aren't going to card you. Let's be honest. I think we've had this conversation before. I think I remember seeing, a few bartenders in our chat talking about that. If you walked in military uniform, they didn't card you. They didn't care. But that's me personally. Like I agree that the decision should be 21 and up. But if you want to fight for our country, then you have a military card. Like I have a friend, my friend Brock, who fought in the military. If I was 18 and he was 18 and he fought and he came back and he can drink and I can't, that's no big deal. He did his part. I sat back.
Nice.
I dropped out of college 4 times.
I think what brings me to that question, I keep thinking of because I've been listening to a lot of the comedy channels on Sirius, and they tend to play one of the skits from Jeff Jeffries called Freedom, but spelled Freedumb.
That's Jim Jeffries.
Jim Jeffries, sorry. And just talking about, the drinking age and when you should be able to drink. So I guess it just kind of came from there. So just curious. One more that I've got, I was looking at this one where it was some condo in South Florida, which was being called the House of Budweiser. And this condo, I guess if you guys, for our guys, if you go through our news articles, it's the last one that I posted down there just so you see a picture of this thing. So this condo basically is about 815 square feet. And it is just simply lined in cans of Budweiser that is basically used for the decor. It is from walls to ceiling that it is literally lined with cans of Budweiser as if this stuff was wallpaper. And Budweiser is looking to find out who bought this thing because they are wanting to award these condo owners with a whole bunch of free beer. Couldn't find the actual listing, but basically this thing, it looks like it from what it says, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom space. But like I said, it is completely and utterly covered floor to ceiling with cans of Budweiser used for the design. I don't see how I could live in something like that.
No.
But I'm curious if any of you would even dare to do that, knowing that you really can't decorate the walls. I mean, from the pictures, I'm guessing they didn't put cans in that spot so that they could actually hang these frames that are in here. But it doesn't look like you can do much with it other than take the cans down and put some extra decorations up.
For those of you listening on the podcast, obviously you can watch us live over at betterondraft.tv every Friday at 7 p.m. or you can join us facebook.com/betterondraft. I was showing the photos while you were talking, Rob. And as my grandfather would always say, whenever we would do like cans and stuff, like I'd go return cans for him, that's a tenacenza. And that's a lot of tenacenza. Just a lot of tenacenza over and over
It
again.
must be in a no deposit state.
Yeah, I mean,
Because that's a lot of.
all they did was just paste a bunch of Budweiser cans onto the wall. Doesn't really seem like it seems like a lot of effort for not really much.
Right.
And who drank all that Budweiser?
I mean, that's like 2 nights worth.
Like, why?
It's
That's 2
water
nights wasted.
anyways.
My
I mean,
God.
2 nights wasted drinking, and then like whatever. It probably took them a couple weeks at least to put all those cans up. Let's be honest.
For those that are here in Michigan and have to deal with the rules that we have right now with the number of cans you can take back to a store, this condo alone, it almost seems like you would be taking cans back for 2 weeks and you may still not be done. And like if you were the only one that was taking cans back to the store and hit the limit for that day, you could take a month to return all of these. There's just so much.
Yeah. Let's get one more news article in before we call it a night.
All right, let's see what else do we got in here. So let's see. We're going to throw that. Yeah, we'll throw that one in there because we don't really bring this one up too much, and that being able to actually combine the love of beer and the love of ice cream. You know, for those that do enjoy those, that we're talking about beer floats and being able to, you know, find that mix between, you know, a good beer and some ice cream to put together. So I came across this brewery that it actually was a brewery and an ice cream shop that was somewhere in Ohio. I think it was like in Metro Cincinnati that was being able to basically this guy was making beer. I think there's Craft Cream Works actually they make the ice cream. But that there is a brewery nearby that this guy was actually just taking his ice cream and pairing his ice cream with beer, and you know,
I'm all ears.
making some. The brewery that was down the street from is Grainworks Brewing, which apparently just has a lot of variety of beers, of which he's able to actually make those combinations with. I guess the question really to you guys is that have you ever made an actual beer float? And are there any beers / ice creams that you think would make a good pairing?
Well, Dragon's
Dragon's
Milk
Milk.
make a fantastic beer float. Yes, I have done it. And with that one, you can pair it with a whole ton of different things. I did mint chocolate chip, which, you know, that's just kind of a standard here. That in my family, anyways, mint chocolate chip. But
for the variants, you're just talking just a regular Dragon's Milk?
just a regular Dragon's Milk, you can. The possibilities are endless if you start adding the variants in.
Because there are so many, and I know they just released their vanilla chai again. So I was curious with that. I have not done any of these yet, but it has definitely intrigued me. So I'm going to start kind of looking at the collection. I think my issue is that I'm going to want to use something that's barrel aged, and I feel like the bourbon barrel is really going to throw off the taste of the ice cream. Really?
No, because it's sweet.
All right. I'm gonna give it a shot, guys.
I have zero interest in doing this.
Yeah, I don't want to add ice cream to beer. Nope.
I think I would try it just to see what it's like, but
I don't want to be a party pooper. I just don't like sweets. Like I've had maybe in the past 5 years, maybe 5 scoops of ice cream at most. Like, like I
I can't even talk
rarely,
to you right now.
I rarely have. I just rarely have ice cream. Like every once in a while, I'll maybe have like a McDonald's vanilla cone, and that's like once every 2 years. But
I
I
don't know the place to get the machine work.
Graham's off ice cream right now, so I have not had ice cream in a few months actually. It has not been easy during this pandemic to not have ice cream in my house. Let's put it that way. So putting ice cream and beer together just kind of makes sense because it's two of my favorite things.
I don't know. I think I want to start maybe mixing beers again. Trying different beer mixes. Maybe start doing that when I'm starting to drink again next week. But I don't know if I can do, like, I know Brown Dog Creamery, which there's a couple of them here in Metro Detroit, does like ice cream and desserts with the beers, as well as with cocktails. But for me, I don't know. I just want beer. I don't want anything else. But again, we've also talked about the fact that I don't like drinking beer when I'm eating. Like I want to eat food. I want to drink, either a soda or a water, and then I'll drink my beer before, and I'll wait until after I'm done eating. I just don't like pairing my food with beer.
Right.
I do often choose to get my sugar through beer rather than sweets. So I tell people all the time, I'm like, yeah, I save my sugar for having a beer later, but
The way to do it.
Well, guys, I know I was a little bit worried earlier this week that we might not be able to get this podcast done, but we did. My back is strong. I'm going to go stretch it out after this show, but I appreciate you taking the time. Once again, thank you to Dan over at New Glarus for coming out and doing a great interview to start off this show. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Tavor, using the code ROBEAR, that's Robert, North Center Brewing over in Northville, Michigan, and Zatuna Liquor over in Rochester Hills. You can like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter on Better on Draft. You can find us on Twitch and Untapped at BOD Podcast. That's BOD Podcast. And of course, our website's betterondraft.com and betterondraft.tv. And that's going to do it. 2:35 in the books. No game tonight. We're going to end a little bit early. So I appreciate you all coming by and staying. And no matter what you think of your beer, we think it's Better on Draft. Have a good night.
Peace.